leaving. Google says the US government made 8,000 requests for user data in the first 6 months of this year, and it granted most of those requests. All rise, Judge Andrew Napolitano is here. He's the author of this great new book in which I am mentioned, Theodore and Woodrow. Only on page 278 in the acknowledgements.
You were around when Theodore and Woodrow.
Wow.
That was good. It was good, though, wasn't it? That was very, very good. Now, look, we have President Obama in position, in power, going to have 8 years. He was the man who objected, I think, to the Patriot Act, which allowed these kind of government requests for information from the internet providers.
He was not in office when the original Patriot Act was enacted in 2001.
He didn't like it.
He voted against the first extension of the Patriot Act to come before him when he was a senator from Illinois. He signed into law the second extension of the Patriot Act, which came before him when he was president. So he's been all over the board on the Patriot Act. He criticized it before he was in the government. He voted against its extension when he was in the Senate. He embraced it when he was in the White House.
Okay, and he's embracing it now because he's allowing the government to make all this requests for information from Google, and they are compliant with it.
The government makes several types of requests to Google. One is a voluntary request, and it says to Google, look, you've told everybody that uses your service that you may, from time to time, not comply with your privacy standards in deference to the president. So you warned them. That's one request the government makes. Another way that the government gets information is what's called a national security letter, basically a self-written search warrant in which an FBI agent or a federal agent authorizes himself to demand these things from Google. Now, a national security letter requires that the FBI agent satisfy himself, a dubious and unconstitutional standard, but the law nevertheless, that the subject matter of the material sought has to do with national security or terrorism.
So it's easy for the government to get information that it wants from Google or on any other, from the internet, right?
Regrettably, yes.
And I say that's okay. Now, I know you disagree with me, but I say that's okay. In the age of international terrorism, I want my government to do any and all checks of a threat to me and my family. I know you disagree.
Is the director of the Central Intelligence Agency betraying his wife, not the country, a threat to national security? No. So why would you go along with the FBI looking at the emails from David Petraeus to his mistress? Because none of the government's business.
Because the FBI thought there may have been a security threat because someone was trying to get at General Petraeus.
Sounds like you're buying the argument that comes from the government.
I am.
Okay.
However,
the FBI knew about the mistress when they did a background search of General Petraeus. That was 1.5 years ago. They didn't stumble on this accidentally.
Do you know that for a fact?
I haven't seen the background report. It would be a violation of the statutes for them to share it with me. But I know how effective they are, since I myself have been the subject of background checks before I got my judgeship and then the second judgeship. I know how thorough they are. In the case of General Petraeus, they would have gotten his visitor logs. So they would have known everybody that visited him when he was the commander of the troops in Afghanistan. They would have known that every time this certain woman, Mrs. Broadwell, came, she stayed in the NATO headquarters where nobody else stayed. She didn't need a security clearance, but she was in a secure area. It would have piqued their curiosity. And they probably would have picked up the gossip among the general's senior staff. We're worried that he's spending too much time with this lady. We're worried something's going on. They didn't discover this accidentally a few months ago. They discovered it officially 1.5 years ago.
I do want to get on record that I think we should not be ruining a general, General Allen in this case, because he may or may not have written a series of racy emails to a woman who's not his wife.
There I agree with you.
I think the man may be tarnished wrongly.
There are statutes that govern General Allen's behavior that don't govern General Petraeus.
Agreed.
Because General Petraeus, though we call him general, is a civilian, so he's not governed by the Uniform Code of Military Justice. General Allen is. The Uniform Code of Military Justice permits superiors to prosecute someone for conduct unbecoming an officer. That is such a vague standard. It could be almost anything.
Yes, it
so
could.
are 20,000 emails to the same person in a 5-year period, conduct unbecoming an officer? That's about 100 emails a day.
Conduct unbecoming anyone, 20,000 emails.
Can you be fired as a general for drinking red wine with fish? I mean, that's really unbecoming. Totally subjective.
Stuart, no one would drink red wine with fish in my palace.
I don't know what to say.
You started it. You started it.
I did say. Thank you, Judge. Always good.
Sure.
We talked about